All right, I think that we're good to get started. So I'm going to hand it over to Miss Gay for our fourth seminar, Beyond the Classroom, Montessori at Home.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad that you're here with us. I can't believe we've already done 3 seminars and we're on to our 4th one. Today, we're going to be talking about Montessori at home and how we can take all those things we learned about what goes on in the classroom and incorporate them into your home. So let's talk about the goals. The goals tonight is to bring the Montessori principles into your home. Remember, we spoke last week or the week before about that triangle with the child up at the top and home and the classroom at the bottom. That the home and the classroom are a bridge. That's an invaluable bridge that reinforces what your child learns in school every day. So tonight we're going to be looking at the learning objectives, which are reviewing the benefits in the Montessori method. We're just going to go over a few things that we've talked about the past 3 weeks, and then how we can apply that method at home, how to create a Montessori prepared environment. We talked all about the prepared environment, I believe, in the first session. How we can do a Montessori prepared environment at home, incorporating all those things that we've talked about into your home, and the role that the parent can play while supporting this at home. So I hope you enjoy everything that we have to talk to you about tonight. And remember, at the end, there are question and answer period as well. So the first thing we're going to review was OCCI. The Montessori method nurtures order, concentration, coordination, and independence. This is developed through the prepared environment. It's all materials in the Montessori classroom speak to those things, but particularly in the practical life area that we spoke in such detail about last week. These materials and order, concentration, coordination, and independence help self-regulation emerge. And that's something that, as time goes on and as the children, quote unquote, normalize, which is a Montessori saying, you see that self-regulation emerging. A Montessori classroom and Montessori education creates this caring community. It's the multi-age classrooms that are so very special in a Montessori classroom produce somewhat of a family feeling. The older children are the role models. They act like older siblings. They get to model things for their younger classmates. They get to give lessons to their younger classmates. And something that I've always known as a teacher, that when you teach something, you learn that even more fully, you absorb that even more fully. So having the older children teach the younger children different lessons, give the children different lessons and role model is really cementing those lessons in the older children as well. The younger children get a sense of confidence because they see what's ahead of them. They see the challenges ahead of them. They see how their older peers are doing, and they strive to be able to do that as well. And the teachers act as role models, just as parents at home do. And we show them kindness. We model kindness and respect and grace and courtesy and peaceful conflict resolution. So all of those things go into making a caring community. And that's something that's very, very special in a Montessori education. Talk about freedom within limits. When a Montessori classroom begins, when the school year begins, even if it's the child's 3rd year in the classroom, we go through a period of what Maria Montessori called normalization. The children are coming back. Some of them have never been in a Montessori classroom before. Some of them haven't been in since the end of the school year. Many of the children don't come for the summer program, so they've had a few months off and we need to reacclimate them. We take our time at the beginning of the school year to make sure that the children understand the ground rules, understand what's expected of them, understand how they move, the tone, the level of voice modulation, how they handle the materials. And I'm not saying giving lessons on each one, but how to gently handle the materials. We set those limits and we set those parameters. And when we do those limits, when we set them, once the children understand them, then we give them freedom to move around and choose what they want to do and focus on the learning that they want to be involved with. And all this culminates into a love of learning. Montessori students are true leaders in their classrooms when they leave a Montessori setting, because they have been taught how to learn. They haven't just been taught by rote. They've been taught how to go out and seek information on their own, how to make things work, how to correct their own mistakes. This gives them the satisfaction and an understanding that if they're interested in something, if they're curious about something, they know how to learn about it. They know how to find out about it. It's something that we instill in them every day, and it is so marvelous to see when they're older how this comes to fruition. It also helps with their self-correction and their self-assessment and how they can look critically at their work. And when I say critically, I don't mean, oh, this is not good, but what else could I have done better? What could I do the next time? It's self-correcting again and learning from their mistakes. And as we've talked about in each session, I believe mistakes are something that the children learn from and learn by, and it's not something that they're made to feel bad about. And it also, the benefits of Montessori education, one of the really important benefits is this learning of social emotional skills. These children are given the freedom and support to question things, to want to find out more about things and to understand things more deeply. They become self-directed learners. They take their pride in their classroom. They have empathy and care for their fellow students, and this in turn eventually helps them become good citizens of the world, good citizens in general. They act boldly. They have integrity. I've talked about our character lessons that we have monthly and how exciting it is to see the children truly grasp that and not only be able to tell us what that means, but live it in our classroom, and I'm sure living it in your home as well. And one other thing that these social emotional skills really emphasize is, or teach rather, is how to work collaboratively rather than competitively. We do a lot of collaborative games where the object behind it is not who wins, but the object is how quickly can everyone work together for a common goal. And when they take these skills with them throughout their lives, they are just more productive and happier and more collaborative adults. So let's talk about movable Montessori. Montessori way of learning does not have to stop when you pick your child up from school. Begin by creating this prepared environment at home, which we're going to help you do tonight. It allows you to then easily integrate and move the Montessori method into your home and essentially into your life. We have a material in our classroom called the movable alphabet. It's in the language area. It's this big, beautiful material. The premise behind it is that children can encode words. They can identify the sounds of words and build those words before they can decode them or read them. So they literally pick up letters and sound and build words. So just as they pick up letters and build words with a movable alphabet, you can bring those Montessori principles into your home, creating, again, that bridge that we talk about so frequently to reinforce what your child has done at school. Take a look at this picture. On the left, we have chaos and cluttered playroom. Does this look familiar to any of you? I'm sure it does, and you don't have to raise your hand and say if it does or not, but this is what many classrooms, what many playrooms look like. Now take a look at the calm and organized picture. This is a picture of a child's workroom at home. And you see there's child-sized desks and chairs. There's portable carts that the children can put materials on for them to create and to work with. Their artwork is hanging on the walls. On the bookshelves next to the right of the desk, they have, it's very, very organized. On the bottom, they have bins that they might have all their toys in, and you can color code those bins. You can put pictures of what toys go in what bins. They have their books, they have their art materials, and a place for everything in its place. And the bottom line behind that is, if you look to the left, how is a child going to find something that they want to do? They're going to get bored with, get totally overwhelmed by all of this. But if you have an organized space where the child knows just where to go to get something that they're looking for, that they want to work with, or that they would like to create, that calm is internalized. The chaos, on the other hand, of the room on the left is also internalized. And that's not the kind of thing that is pleasant to deal with a young child when there's a chaotic piece to them at different times. They all get chaotic at times, but you want to instill that calm and that organization. And when you do a room for them, when you make up a room for them and organize a room for them, let them have a big part of it. Let them, if you're going to maybe choose a paint color, repaint the walls, let them help choose that. Let them decide what color coding the bins are, where the bins should go, what toys should go on, how should we organize these toys? Should we put puzzles on one shelf? Where would you prefer them? Let them have input, because the more input they have, the more ownership they're going to take, and the more they're going to take care of their things. So I love this picture. Let's take a look at how to create a Montessori prepared environment at home. And we can literally go from room to room. The star, as you see the star on the bottom right, that looks like it's in an entryway to a home. You can put small hooks up for your child when your child comes in, and he can hang his coat up or hang his backpack up and keep it organized. You can have shoe racks in the entryway, umbrella stands, things that, again, a place for everything and everything in its place. A mat, a little mat that they can wipe their feet on, because it's nice to keep your environment nice and clean. So let's move on to the next room, and that looks like it's a living room. Now, in Montessori, we use work mats. These days, we can't use rugs that the children can roll up because of COVID. Soon, fingers crossed, I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel coming sometime soon, sooner than later. But for now, we still use, we use paper mats that the children define their workspace. But at home, you can have an umbrella stand where you keep a couple of rolled up throw rugs, the thin cotton rolled up throw rugs for each one of your children. And if they are going to be doing things in the living room, if they're going to be working in the living room or doing a puzzle or building something in the living room, have them use those same rugs that we use, something to define their space that we use in school. Let's see. Are we going to go on to the window next? Nope, we're going to the kitchen and the dining room next. Now, the kitchen is such an important room for you to organize for your child, because they love to help with food prep, and they teach them how to chop and prep food. We do it normally in pre-COVID and post-COVID days. We're going to be doing much more of it, but let your children help measure out food, stir food, chop, help prepare meals. And in doing so, make sure that you have stools that they can pull up so they can reach the counters, or that the materials that they can use, the chopping materials and the things that the spoons and the bowls and the whisks and the things that they are able to participate and use and help in prep and meal prep, family meal prep, make sure that they are accessible to them, that they're not dependent upon you to go get those things for them. In the refrigerator, now, of course, the younger children, we always don't want the children to think that the refrigerator is something that they can play in, but if your child is with you and they're helping prepare meals with you, make sure that the things that you're asking them to get are at a lower part of the refrigerator for them to be able to use to retrieve without having to ask for help from anyone else. When as far as the action preparing the dining room, your children can set the tables. We do a lot of table setting work at school, especially around that Thanksgiving holidays is when I've always started doing that, because it's a big family gathering with a huge meal. So have your child help out in the dining room by setting the table and or clearing the table and then rinsing off the dishes and putting them in the dishwasher. You know, when these things do not present themselves as chores, but as things that they get to contribute, like the older people in the house do, that's a privilege to them. It is not a punishment or a chore to have to do those things. We're over in the laundry room now, and I love telling parents about this because your children can, regardless of their age, well, from age 2.5 up, even younger for some of the things, can contribute to helping out in the family with the family laundry. They can put their own clothes in the washing machine. They don't have to, if they're too young, they don't have to go starting the washer or pouring anything, any liquids into the washing machine, but they can go put their clothes in the washing machine. Once the clothes are done, their job might be to take the clothes from the washer and put them into the dryer. Again, they might not be able to start the dryer, but I know some of the children in my class, some of the older children in my class would be totally capable of starting the dryer cycle. Once these, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not quite finished with that, but really quickly, they can fold the clothes when they come out. They can deliver the clothes to the different rooms that they belong in. You can have different laundry baskets for each person in your house. You can have mom and dad's laundry basket and then all of the children's laundry baskets labeled. And then when they take clothes out of the dryer and fold them, they can put them in those laundry baskets. They can take them right up to the rooms that they belong in. All right, it looks like the next, I can't tell what that is. Is that I believe that's is that a den?
The child's bedroom.
Oh, that's the child's bedroom. Okay, of course. I'm thinking that looked like a little sofa, but it's a little bed. So with the child's bedroom, again, have things organized. If their toys are kept in their room and not in a playroom, put them in bins. Have shoe racks in their closets. So they have to put their shoes away. They can match. It's a great matching and sorting activity. They can put their shoes in their shoe racks. Have their drawers, their dresser drawers labeled with pictures. There's their underwear and sock goes in one drawer, t-shirts go in another, pants in another, and have them put their clothes away. If your child is old enough, tall enough, get some stepping stools, they can hang their things up, teach them how to hang things on hangers and hang them in their closet. Let's go on to the bathroom. The bathroom is for the child can be responsible for making sure that when they get out of the bathtub, they don't leave their towels on the floor, that they clean up any messes after they brush their teeth. There's always toothpaste in the sink. Make sure that they can wipe down the sink. They can sweep the bathroom floors. I don't know about your houses, but my house I can sweep 10 times a day and I can look down and there's dog hair on the floor and there's dust and things floating around from the bathroom on the floor. So your child can be participative in that. They can sweep, they can wipe it down. I know kids 3 to 6 years old love wet mopping things. So give them those responsibilities. You can label toothbrush holders. So this child has this toothbrush holder, that child has that one. So it's very organized. There's no question as to whose is what. And you could even have something akin to like college shower bins that they would take that students in dorms would take to the communal showers, and you can have little bins with each child's bathtub toys in it or special things that they keep in the bathroom. So again, the key is organizing in bins, making it very clear, very simple, indicate what goes in it, and make it as simple as possible for your child to continue to put those things in it. I love this quote, and I wanted to read this to you, and then we're going to talk about nature. Let the children be free. And this is Dr. Maria Montessori, by the way. Let the children be free, encourage them, let them run outside when it is raining, let them remove their shoes when they find a puddle of water, and when the grass of the meadows is damp with dew, let them run on it and trample it with their bare feet. Let them rest peacefully when a tree invites them to sleep beneath its shade. Let them shout and laugh when the sun wakes them in the morning, as it wakes every living creature that divides its day between waking and sleeping. There is a huge, huge part of Montessori education that is connected to nature. We talked last week about gardening, and how excited we are that we're going to start a big garden in our play area at Forest Hill. Let your child get involved in gardening with you. Let him dig in that dirt, let him find those dirt worms, let him plant, let him just feel and smell and just absorb everything that there is in nature to be found. Take your children on nature walks and let them take some binoculars and some magnifying glasses if possible, and let them explore every nook and cranny that they can. You can have a nature table in your home. You can go on nature walks with your child. You can have, if not a table, you can have a tray. You can have bowls on that tray where they collect different things and bring them in. And just the smell and the sight and the feel of those things that they brought in from nature just helps them connect more with it. I have a very heartfelt rule in my teaching of all these years, and that is that every living creature, from the tiniest ant to the hugest whale, deserves kindness and respect and the right to live. And so when there is a bug in our classroom, I have a cup and a piece of cardboard, and I trap that bug, and I take that bug outside and let it free, let it live in its own environment. And today, I'll tell you what happened today in my classroom. We had brought in a new big, beautiful, big potted plant on Friday. And the kids were really excited about taking care of it. And we were talking about how this plant doesn't need a lot of water. It was not a succulent, but it only really needed to be watered about once a week. And when the leaves dropped off of it, which happened frequently, we were to push it back in the soil. And that kind of brought in a discussion about composting. And we came in today and the kids were all excited because Miss Gay, there's millions of ants around this one particular plant, and apparently they had been attracted by the soil. And I had one little boy saying, "Oh, what are you going to do? Are you going to kill him? Are you going to crush him?" I was like, "Oh, absolutely not. Of course not." And I gently just swept them into my hands, and I carried them to the door, and an outside door, and a child opened the door, and we let the ants out. And it's just, they're living creatures, and I think it's really important to teach the respect for nature and for that aspect of it. We had last week, again, I know I talk about spiders a lot, but we were on circle, and the child sitting next to me gave a little squeal, like in the middle. I was giving a lesson, and I turned around, and I looked, and there was a very small spider walking, coming up towards her. And so when I went to put it into my hand, it let out its silk line, and it drifted from my hand down at the silk line. And the children were fascinated because they had never seen a spider literally let out a silk line. And I mean, it didn't spin a web, but it was just this amazing natural thing that occurred. And then we carefully carried it outside. When your child gets outside, they get fresh air, they get this love and respect of nature, and the healthy doses of vitamin D. It's all very, very important, and it's all part of how to bring Montessori into your home. So let's talk about incorporating Montessori principles at home. If you see up on the left, there's another very beautifully organized area with low shelving, low bookcases. It looks like a book basket and a small rocking chair and table and artwork that is not too high up, try to get it at the child's level if all possible. So organize your environment, encourage order and independence. Again, think back to that chaotic picture a couple of frames ago. It's very hard to get motivated when you are just overwhelmed. So it is fundamental in Montessori that we encourage order and independence. Again, that's part of that OCCI, and self-motivation. And this allows the child also to care for themselves and their surroundings with pride, rather than feeling like, oh man, now I got to clean this huge mess up that I made. Now, follow the child. That is a mantra of Montessori, an absolute Montessori mantra, to follow the child. You act as a resource. You observe. There are many, many times in the day when I am just stepping back and I am observing what's going on with each and every child. And you make mental notes, like, what is this child interested in? Oh, I see this child starting to burst into a new sensitive period. Actively listen and respond to your child. Use reflective statements. Ooh, I see, I understand that what you just said to me was you would like to be able to go outside. But before we go outside, what is it that we need to do first? Is it pick up the things, put everything away that you've just taken out or that you've just finished playing with? Is it putting your shoes on? Is it putting your jacket on? Use reflective statements and ask open-ended questions to the child so that the child can think about those things rather than not being given the opportunity to really think something through. Let your child make choices, but let me tell you, just as a warning, that when you give your child, definitely give your child choices. Always let them feel like they have some kind of input and some kind of control. But make sure that the choices you're giving them are something that you truly want them to do. Limit some of those choices so to make sure that they are things that will end up being positive rather than overwhelming. Let your child work independently without interrupting. I know that is a hard thing for brand new teachers to do, but it is really important to try to just step back and observe and not interfere with that amazing concentration that's going on, and that all the wheels that are turning and all the movements and all that cognitive development that go along with those movements. And I want to say something real fast before I move on to number 3, but watch the language that you use. And by that, I mean, well, of course, watch your language, but by that, I mean, we use positive language in the classroom at all times. When we say when a child is running through the classroom, rather than saying, don't run, stop running, we say, please walk. Or don't carry your tray that way. Say, oh, if you carry your tray this way, then you have a better chance that your milk won't spill. Just, remain positive. I have a child in my class who is, when we stand in line, we are supposed to stand with our hands behind our back so we're not playing with things, and our eyes front, and our lips pressed so we're paying attention to what we're doing. And I have a child in my classroom who constantly leans back on the wall. And rather than saying, don't lean, stop leaning, I say, we're standing and you're leaning. Please stand. So use positive talk. Now let's talk about concentration. Concentration is absolutely necessary for learning, and you can cultivate this by paying attention to what it is that your child is interested in and setting your child up with those things. If it's puzzles, if it's artwork, if it's reading, if it's sewing or weaving, whatever it is that your child, if it's trucks or whatever it may be that your child's interested in, set him or her up with materials and the space that they need to explore those materials and learn from those materials, and also determine where your child might work best. Some children flourish in the center of things where things are going on all around them, and they can still focus, but they like that idea that there are people around them. Other children need quiet. And actually, I mean, this is not just children, but adults as well. So determine where it is best to set up your child's playroom. It might be in the center of the family room, or it could be in a quiet room off to itself, or in a bedroom that he or she shares with a sibling. So emphasize life skills. Just like we've talked about last week over and over again with the practical life that we talked about yesterday, there are so many different things that your children can do around the house that help incorporate growing life skills. Younger children, they can feed their pets, whether it's fish food or dog food, cat food. They can help with pet care. They can brush their pets. They can help clean up after a meal. They can definitely put their things away. Older children can help with spring cleaning. They can take out trash. They can help wash cars. They love doing that kind of things. They can also help and teach their younger children, their younger siblings, how to do that. I'm going to come the nice warm weather, once the weather is warm consistently, we're going to be taking buckets of soapy water outside and scrub brushes, and we're going to be scrubbing all of our chairs in our classroom, and we might even take our tables out and scrub the table legs. And it just it is such great gross motor work and large muscle, and it's helping with their environment, which is something that we emphasize all the time at home. So make sure that you have them help with those life skills. So we're going to go on to the next one, which is number 5, and this is incredibly important. And I know I devoted a lot of time to this in one of my other webinars a few weeks back. Please encourage movement. Movement is essential for development, for muscle development, for cognitive development. Encourage that. Make sure that when you are planning a child's playroom, that there is room for that child to move around, to get to everything that they need to get to. Take them outside, play soccer, cornhole, ring toss, and there's all kinds of like cornhole games for children now. Throwing things, balancing things, exercising. Sometimes on the playground, I just run with the kids. We run around the playground, run. And it's, the children say to me, "Oh, Miss Gay, you're old. You can still run." I'm like, well, kind of, but go ahead and do all those things with them. Also, in their playroom, incorporate things that we had talked about last week with practical life that work with their small muscles, their fine motor skills, that will help with their pencil grips eventually. Holding a paintbrush, you can put fun things in there for them to transfer from one thing to another with tongs. They have plastic sewing needles. You can do a lot. You can have sewing and lacing work, and that's all movement that encourages that fine motor and small muscle. All right, we can now go to number 6. Embrace the mistakes. This is so important. And I know I've emphasized this, I think, every week, but mistakes are how we learn. And in my classroom and in all Montessori classrooms, you don't have a child that is upset when he or she makes a mistake. You have a child that makes a mistake and understands that they are capable of correcting it, and that mistakes are how you learn. Our materials in the classroom are, for the most part, the majority of them are self-correcting. So they don't even need an adult to tell them, "Oh, this is not correct because the materials are telling them that is not correct, and they figure out on their own how to correct them. This just feeds into their self-confidence, their ability. They know if they're not afraid of making mistakes, then they are not afraid of trying new things. But the child that is afraid to fail is not going to go ahead and reach out and try something new. And that's going to affect self-esteem, self-confidence, and it's going to hold them back from learning. Encourage social and emotional learning. As children interact, they learn. It is so amazing to stand back. And I know you guys don't have 11 and 12 children in your home that, to watch how this all happens. But first of all, the mixed age groupings are just remarkable. And it teaches them empathy for children who are younger than they are, or even the same age, who aren't able to do the same things that they're able to do. It gives them the freedom and the support to question things and to figure out, knowing that they can make mistakes and fail, and it's okay, because one failure is just going to lead to a success eventually. It helps them become self-directive and really incredible citizens in the long run. They become accountable to themselves, and when they're accountable to themselves, then they then turn around and learn how to become accountable to their community, whether that's their home community, their classroom community, their community around them. So definitely encourage that. And consider using positive discipline. Positive discipline is firm, but it's kind and it's respectful. It invites children to contribute positively. An example of this is if a child spills an entire bowl of dry cereal, and I'm going to make it easy in this conversation and say dry cereal rather than already with milk on it. But just say to your child, hey, I understand. I saw that rather than holding the bowl like this, you chose to hold it like that. And that's probably why that bowl dropped and that cereal is all over the floor. So you made a mess. You need to clean a mess now. Here, what do you want to use? Do you want to use a small dustpan and broom, or would you rather use a large broom and a dustpan? It's up to you. You tell me what you want, and you and I together can go, or you can go into the broom closet and get the materials that hopefully mom and dads you have hanging at a low enough place for the child to get on their own, on his or her own. And it's all positive. It's not berating for making a mistake, or berating for making a choice that needs to be that needs some disciplinary action. And in addition to that, when it comes to positive discipline, if there is a consequence, if a discipline does involve consequences, then make that consequence fit what it is that child has done. If the child has deliberately broken something, if the child has been angry and has deliberately broken something, not watching television later on does not fit the action. So if somebody deliberately breaks something, then give the child the tools. I see that you deliberately broke that. Here's some glue, and here's a table to sit at. Let's see if you can fix it. And things like that. So it's positive and it's not berating, and it also takes some of that control and attention aspect of behavior. Sometimes when a child behaves in a certain way, it's for control or it's for the attention. But if they don't get that, if they're not given the attention that they have maybe sought by doing that, but they're just shown how to fix it instead, you might not see that behavior come about again. So this might look familiar to you because I believe we used this before, but let's talk about your role in supporting your family's Montessori practices at home. Let's start with observing and adapting. Like we said before, stand back, observe, see what it is that your child is truly interested in. If your child really, really loves butterflies, then get them models of butterflies or butterfly puzzles, or take them outside with binoculars or magnifying glasses. Again, teach them, give them, there's all kinds of things that you can get at learning stores, like that are life cycles of a butterfly, and they're little movable life cycles. So there's the pupa and there's the chrysalis and so on, until it gets into until it's a butterfly. Another thing about butterflies that I've always loved is you could get your child a butterfly house where they literally watch the caterpillars go into their chrysalises, spin their cocoons, their chrysalises, and eventually emerge as butterflies. And it's fascinating to them. But whatever it is, pursue those interests and make them available to your child. So model, invite, and practice. Just as the teacher, one of my huge roles in a classroom is to model the behavior I expect from my child. And I always tell this story because it still makes me laugh and kind of shake my head. But when one of my daughters was a little girl, she had a play date with a friend, and I went with her to her friend's house, and her little friend turned around and smacked my daughter. And the parent went up to that child and said, "Don't hit," and smacked the kid on the head. So that certainly was not telling the child not to hit. So model how you want your child to behave. You want a calm and peaceful home, then you are calm and peaceful. And, we are all human. We all react sometimes. We all react at times with ways that we regret doing. But have your child model what you can, and if you do something that you kind of feel bad that you spoke in a harsh tone or whatever, then apologize. Say to them, I understand, I realize I spoke to you in this way, and that's something that I don't like to talk to anyone that way, and I especially don't like to speak to you that way, and I'm going to try my best to refrain from doing that. Invite the child to work on something, to do something that they like. And when I say work on something, I mean if it's chopping vegetables or putting clothes away or whatever, let them do it a few times. Remember, we spoke a few weeks ago about repetition and how children repeat things over and over and over and over again until they've mastered it. And even once they've mastered it, they still repeat it, because once they've mastered it, they have this love for it. So let them invite them to do things, and let them practice as many times as they want, because they're going to be so full of pride and so full of a sense of accomplishment. Engage your child. When we had talked about sensitive periods, and I believe that you all got some handouts on sensitive periods, engage them with things that meet the developmental needs of your child at that particular time, whether it's toys, whether it's reading materials. Make sure that you're giving them something that they are not incapable of doing developmentally. Practicing real life skills. Tonight's whole webinar is on how to create an environment that encourages children to help out at home. And when children help out at home and they learn this pride and this joy of doing things and doing it well, doing it to the best of their ability, which is all I ask the children to do, just do your best. Best does not mean perfect. But when you do your best, you're going to feel such a sense of pride. So create that home environment where you are asking, you're welcoming that child's help and that child's work alongside with you. We want you to nurture inner motivation. And this is so very important. This is so, and I can't say this enough. We want children, and when I say we, I mean all of us should, as the world should want children to do things because of the intrinsic values that they get from doing it. We want them to do things because it's the right thing to do. I want to know that if I turned my back on the children in my classroom, that they know that even though Miss Gay might not be looking, that they still need to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. When I know a lot of parents and a lot of educational methods as well use reward charts and stickers, and if you do this, we're going to buy you that, and you get this many things in your jar, and then you can go out and we can go to the movies, that kind of thing. I understand why people do those things because it gets immediate results, but external rewards do not put that intrinsic value on something. Children should not do something because they get something because of it. They should do it because it is the right thing to do. And when they get that, when they understand that, that's something that as they get older, they're going to put into, they're going to start helping their, serving their community or joining committees that help something that does not serve them, is what my point is. Oh, this is fun. These are 50 Montessori inspired activities you can do at home. Now, I'm not going to go through all 50 with you, and this is something that is going to be a handout, that one of the things that's going to be available to you. But there are so many things that you can do at home with your child. One of the things I love doing in the classroom, and again, this year I could not do it because of COVID, but I like to make trail mix with them, and I do it particularly around Martin Luther King's birthday, and we always called it Martin Munch. And everybody brought something. Everyone contributed something. One child would contribute pretzels. One child would contribute raisins. We can't do nuts, but various things that could be put into a trail mix type of thing. And everybody would pour their contribution in and mix it up, and we'd have a big snack, and it was everyone coming together, all food of all different colors and from all different places to make one big beautiful snack that everyone enjoyed. So I'm always big on having your child make trail mix at home. You could do things like peeling oranges with your child, sewing, dusting. One of the favorite jobs, I think last week I talked about how a coveted job in a classroom of earlier years of mine was vacuuming. The children love to dust. I had one little boy today that spent the majority of his work time dusting. And to just hear that and not understand or have not seen what he was doing, I could understand people thinking, well, so he's there with a duster all day long? But no, he was very, very, gloves on so he could touch materials, but he was taking materials off the shelf. He was very, very carefully dusting the materials themselves, dusting the shelves, putting them back exactly where he found them on the shelves. He was going from area to area to area. And when he was done, he said, Miss Gay, our classroom is clean now. I don't see any more dust. He was so happy to have done that for the classroom, for the environment. So there are so many things that you can have your child, practical life materials that you can have your child, practical life activities, that you can have your child do at home. And again, you're going to be receiving all of these in a handout